Good morning. Welcome to this morning's briefing. We will get started in just a moment. We've got just a few people still to join us who are signed up to be present. So perhaps we'll give them 60 seconds. I suspect people are rushing around doing all kinds of things just before Easter. So if you can just bear with me for 60 seconds and then we'll get going. Thanks very much. In the meantime, if somebody wants to message me on the side panel to make sure to say they can hear me, that'd be great. Another little while and we'll kick off. Okay, we best get started. Well, thanks again for being here this morning. As you can plainly see, today's topic is boosting local employment and SME profitability, a local government solution. You won't need to take any notes. I will send you a copy of this presentation with the voiceover at the conclusion. It will take about 30 minutes to go through the presentation. Right, okay. My name's John Carlson. My background's in psychology, education and business. I'm a consumer behaviour specialist and I'm a director of Picasso Capital Management, which is responsible for developing the Shopping Link platform, which we will touch on during the course of this morning's presentation. I guess this presentation was inspired by this article, which I sent copies of to everybody. It talks about the growth in online marketplaces and how more and more businesses are using them as a low-cost way of getting involved in e-commerce. And I want to touch on all issues pertaining to that. In fact, I want to touch on 5 issues today in the next 30 minutes. The first is why consider e-commerce, and I guess there's 2 issues there. One is why would business consider e-commerce, and the other is why would local government consider supporting local businesses or small businesses in their e-commerce efforts. The second is what is a marketplace, and that's pretty self-explanatory. The third is how does a marketplace work, and I'll just go through how they operate. What is the timing? How quick could you get a marketplace up and running, and what do marketplaces traditionally cost to establish? So let's start with the first one, why consider e-commerce? Well, I think there's some pretty good numbers on this. By 2025, and I suspect certainly between 2025 and 2030, about 50% of all retail will be online. Now, if you consider that right now it's about 12% in Australia, it peaks at about 25% around Christmas, which explains the poor Christmas trading for a lot of retailers, at least partly explains it. But between 2025 and 2030, it will be 50%. That's half of all retailing. That's about 3 times more than now. So if retailers are struggling now, just imagine what it's going to be like in a few years' time. And the reason we know this, one is the current growth rate, but the other is this is exactly what's happened in the United Kingdom and the United States, and we tend to follow behind those markets. And consumers will shop online no matter what retailers do. Retailers think they can package their offering better and different, and they can, and it will retain some customers. But ultimately, consumers will buy online. And the principal reason they buy online, surprisingly enough, is nothing to do with price, although it's in the top 5 factors. The number 1 factor is convenience. It is just easier to shop online than it is to drive to a store, find a park, walk in, deal with a customer service representative, etc., etc. And this is the key thing that's driving online purchasing. And it's one of the things you can't deal with, you can't change. You can make the retail experience as good as you like. You can make the shopping centre as good as you like. You can make the town centre as good as you like. But the reality is, it is much easier to shop online. And it's easy in part because you don't have to go anywhere, but it's also easy because you can do it 24/7. And we're seeing an increasing trend towards shopping at night when, of course, retail stores aren't open. The second point I'd make here is that 93% of Google searches include a local intent. So what that says is that whilst there's a trend towards online shopping, people do want to shop local if they can. They do want to get the food miles down. They do want to support local businesses, but they will shop online first. So if the local businesses are not online, they will not get the business. In fact, right now, about 49% of all online shopping in Australia is from overseas websites because the local businesses they want to deal with don't have an e-commerce presence. So perhaps the three things to take out of this slide are: one, by 2025, 50% of all retailing will be online. Two, consumers want to shop online and want to shop local if they can. And three, if retailers don't get involved in this, they will go by the wayside. Currently, offline shopping or bricks and mortar shopping in Australia is growing at about the rate of 1.5% per annum, which is pretty slow. I mean, it's below the CPI. The reality is that online shopping is growing 10 times faster than that, compounding 50% growth per annum. It is taking over, and there is a reason why Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world, and it's because people are shopping online. 80% of Australian adults have shopped online. 50% of Australian adults shop regularly online. And 90% of Australians will buy more this year online than they did last year, which supports that 15% per annum growth. This is a tidal wave which is coming, and it's building and building and building. And bricks and mortar retailers that don't embrace this won't survive. Just as people, and as a further issue here, just as people who have never used Zoom or the Microsoft product or Skype before are now, as a result of this virus issue, using those tools, so people who have never used e-commerce before are using those tools. Woolworths and Coles are seeing a rapid spike in their online shopping, as are Myer and David Jones. For Myer and David Jones, well, Myer, it's about 10% of their revenue now comes from online. For David Jones, it's about 15%. Woolworths online, they've just employed thousands of additional staff to support their online business. I think a few weeks ago, they sacked 10,000 frontline staff, that is in-store staff, and they're currently employing 20,000 staff for other duties, which include satisfying online demand. And many of these people have never shopped regularly online before, but are doing so now because of this virus, and they won't go back. Just as people won't stop using Zoom, won't stop using Skype and these tools for communication, or the one like we're using now, Crowdcast, they won't stop shopping online. Once they find out how easy it is, once they find out how convenient it is, once they find out they can often buy better, they won't stop doing it. They will not go back. Mark my words. Go and have a look at the numbers 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months from now. Small business desperately needs to get involved in e-commerce, but the reality is most of them can't afford to. Most of them don't have the 20 or 30 or 40 grand that might be involved in setting up a good online presence. And then once they've set it up, they don't have the money to continually promote it and drive it. They need assistance in getting online, particularly local businesses. And of course, if you provide this online platform that they can access at a low cost or even free, as I'm suggesting, it will provide immediate economic relief and address the inevitable medium-term shift online. In other words, they'll get immediate revenue. They can set it up this week and start selling stuff a day later, so they can get immediate revenue even while their stores are closed. And they're building a presence which will support them as the online, as we have the growth in online sales in the years ahead. So it's both an immediate hit and a medium to long-term hit. So that's why e-commerce, it is where the market's going. Whether we like it or not, that's where the market is going. And all the data shows that. So what is a marketplace? Well, this is a photograph of a traditional shopping centre. And a marketplace is an online version of this. They have many things in common. Firstly, they have a wide range of stores and huge foot traffic. Secondly, each store operates independently of the owner of the shopping centre. So the owner of the shopping centre doesn't have anything to do with the trading of David Jones or the trading of Mary's shoe store inside the shop. She trades absolutely independently. She just pays a monthly rent to the shopping centre. And the online marketplace is exactly the same, except, of course, it is online. And just as a shopping centre becomes a honeypot that the bees go to, so an online marketplace becomes a honeypot that people go to. So if they go there to buy their Woolies product, they will also go to Mary's shoe shop and Bill's key cutter and all of these other services. And they'll buy them all online at once because it's simply easier. And very often can involve just one delivery. So when people talk about online marketplaces, just simply think it's a shopping centre online. And the owner of the shopping centre provides the infrastructure in which each of the businesses, sorry about the alarms, each of the businesses carry on their own business. And, you know, Westfield shopping centres, for example, each of the retailers have very little interaction with Westfield other than to pay their rent. And Westfield takes no responsibility for what the retailers are doing. They just get on with their business. Westfield just provides the infrastructure. And a marketplace is exactly the same. So if a local government gets involved in providing a marketplace, it is actually not involved in the e-commerce activity. All it's involved in is providing the infrastructure in the same way as it does in a town centre. So instead of building the roads and the footpaths and the median strips and all of that kind of stuff and allowing developers to build the shops, the local government does the same thing online, and then the vendors move their shops in and do business as they would in a shopping centre. It is just an online version of your everyday shopping centre. Having said it's just, there has been over recent years a 74% plus growth in the number of marketplaces and the activity within those marketplaces. Online marketplaces are where e-commerce is going, and there's a number of very good reasons for that, particularly the one of being a honeypot that everybody comes to and does all of their shopping at, rather than have to go after this shop and that shop and searching the net for each individual purchase. They can buy it from the same place. Exactly how a shopping centre operates. Some features of a marketplace. The marketplace simply provides the infrastructure. Instead of the buildings, it provides what we call the software platform. The vendors trade independently in their own shops, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. But so if a local government provides the infrastructure, it has nothing to do whatsoever with what the shops are doing. It can certainly close a shop if it believes a shop is behaving irresponsibly or whatever, or selling something that it doesn't approve of, but the shop operates independently. And the owner of the infrastructure is no more involved in the transaction process or the management of the shop than a shopping centre owner is for the shops in the shopping centre. Vendors are responsible for their own products and their own pricing. How they do business is entirely up to them, and there's no involvement by the owner of the marketplace. All transactions go through a financial gateway. In our case, we use a gateway called PIN, which is similar to PayPal. We also use PayPal, and it's a financial gateway, and it's done by a third party, registered, licensed third party, and therefore neither the vendor nor the local government is involved in any way in the transaction process. It happens automatically and is absolutely secure. The money for each transaction is held in trust by a subsidiary of Macquarie Bank for a period of up to 7 days to allow for the product to be delivered prior to the vendor receiving their money. But at the end of that 7 days, a cheque or a transfer rather happens immediately to the vendor. So the person buys the customer buys either by credit card or by PayPal. They go through the third-party payment system. The money's held for 7 days. When the product's delivered, the goods get released. Sorry, when the goods get delivered, the cash gets released to the vendor. The owner of the marketplace has nothing to do with it. Delivery is handled either by the marketplace or the vendor. We operate a marketplace for food and wine where we offer delivery services. Most of these marketplaces, each vendor looks after its own delivery or does a deal with a couple of other vendors in the shopping centre and they do it together, generally using local delivery services. So again, generating business for local delivery. And promotion, again, can be handled centrally or by the vendors. Our marketplace, which is called Wise, Epicure, Y-S-E-P-I-C-U-R-E, does centralised promotion to promote the shopping centre, just as Westfield does centralised promotion to promote it. Other marketplaces don't. They let the vendors do their own promotion, and my view would be that local governments would have very little, if any, involvement whatsoever in promoting these marketplaces, other than initially making their community aware that they should shop online and they can do through this marketplace. Our software, the software we developed here in Western Australia, is called Shopping Link. It allows for an unlimited number of stores, an unlimited amount of stock, unlimited number of transactions, and it has an unlimited reach. In other words, your local vendors won't just be selling in the local area, they can actually sell anywhere in the world where somebody might visit that platform. And the platform also provides for direct communication between the customer and the vendor. So at no stage does the local government need to get between the vendor and the customer. The platform manages itself. And I can give anyone a demonstration of Shopping Link whenever they want to see it. That's simple enough. So the front page of a marketplace might look like this. This is the heading at least. It would have a range of product that's for sale. It would have a range of specials promoted on the front page, and each vendor, each shop owner within the shopping centre or the marketplace would indicate those products that are on special, and the system would automatically load them to rotate through the front page, showing their specials and those of all the other vendors or shop owners in the marketplace. And then when somebody clicked on a product, or you can also search for a store, they go to this, which is essentially the customer's store. You can see this is for Mendolia Seafoods in Fremantle, and you can't do it here because it's static, but you can scroll through, and I'll send you a link to this actual page. You can scroll through and see the wide range of products that they're selling. Somebody says, well, I like one of those products, and they click on the product, and it takes them, sorry, just let me get this right. They click on the product and it takes them to a detailed product description, allows them to place the order. So it's a very simple process. The local government provides the infrastructure, invites local vendors to get involved, invites local residents to shop there. They go on, they trade through one of these shops, and everything is between the Mendolia Seafood and the customer. The local government is not involved at all. The front page might carry the branding of the local government as it has in this one, or not. But generally speaking, it would. And that would be the extent of the involvement of the local government, to provide its branding for the site to show that it's where people can shop if they want to buy local. And they go and they then deal with the individual vendor or shopkeeper. Interesting for you to know perhaps that currently about 26% of online shopping within Australia is click and collect. In the United Kingdom now it's 74%, which is to me a staggering number. So 74% of people who buy online actually go to the store or essential central point to pick it up. So what they're finding is that the anticipated decline in traffic to town centres doesn't eventuate. There is some decline as the online shopping takes off, but it's nowhere near as extreme as people thought it was going to be. As people like clicking to collect, it seems that it's the shopping process that people don't like. So if they can order it online and pick it up at the store, they're quite comfortable with that, which is an interesting finding, I think. So how does a marketplace work? Well, PCM, that's Picasso, that's us. We install the software. So a local government might come to us and say, yes, we want to do this. We install the software on their hosting platform, and it becomes theirs. So the local government owns the software. Then we incorporate their branding or whatever branding they want. So we can call it the City of Melbourne or whatever. We then invite, the local government then sends out an invitation, an email or a letter or whatever to all the vendors in the area and says, hey, look, this is the new Shop Local campaign or Shop Local capability. You should join us. And then any vendors that want to join us can then open their own stores. To facilitate this, we run a training program for all the vendors. They can learn to do it in 2 or 3 minutes, but we put up an hour and a half or 2-hour training session where all the vendors who express interest in the local government can come along. We show them through the system. We show them how to use it. We show them how to run a store and operate their store. They then open their store and they commence trading. Payments function automatically, as I explained. Vendors look after the deliveries. The local government can promote it if they want, particularly if it's in their best interest to do so, but they don't have to promote it, and business goes on. It's as simple as that. It is really an uncomplicated thing. It involves no significant staff time within a local government. It involves no significant resources or involvement. And then, of course, they go to the store. Sorry, and this is the other thing I was going to show you before. And once they get to a product store, they then get all the details on the product, they click and they make a purchase. So some of the other features, ultimate control rests with the local government. So if a store is behaving badly, you can shut the store. If you want to run a promotion, you can run a promotion. If you want to stop a product line being sold, you can stop a product line being sold. But you don't have to get involved at any stage. You have an access code which allows you to change anything or amend anything to ensure that it's in line with your values and your policies, but you don't have to get involved. Promotion can be centralised with the local government, but more often than not, it's not. It's run by the vendors. They do their own promotion as they did before. And by the way, their individual shop within the marketplace is linked directly to their website if they have one. Many don't, but if they do, it can be linked directly to that. The local government has no role in the transactions. The transactions occur through a third party, and the money, as I say, is deposited with a division of Macquarie Bank and then paid on to the vendor after 7 days. Local government can charge a margin. That is, you can say, we want 1% of all transactions. The system that we operate, Wise Epicure, charges 2% of all transactions. That 2% is then used for promotional purposes. It allows us to promote the site. That 2% or 1%, whatever you might choose to charge, you don't collect that. Again, it goes through that centralised service, and when the money is sent to the vendor, the 1 or 2% is extracted and sent to you by bank transfer. It is a very, very simple process. If you don't want to charge a margin, you don't charge a margin. There's a facility within the software that says, do I want a percentage of this of all the transactions? You tick yes or no. If you tick yes, you put the percentage. If you tick no, nothing happens. Maintenance is minimal and is absolutely maintained by Picasso Capital Management. We do all the maintenance. All customer interaction is with vendors. In other words, if a customer wants to buy something or wants to ask questions about a product or wants to investigate a product or check on pricing or bulk discounts, if you like, or anything like that, All of that is directly with the vendor, and the system allows them to do direct email, direct communication with the vendor, and the vendor can provide their phone number if they also want to do it by phone. Delivery can be centralised. You can offer a centralised delivery service. My recommendation is you leave it up to the vendors and encourage them to use local delivery services. Services and goods are catered for, so we don't have to just sell goods, you know, wine and food and all of that kind of stuff. We can also sell restaurant bookings, accounting services, any kind of service. It caters for both retail and wholesale. There is a button on it which allows somebody to say, I'm a wholesaler, and then enter a PIN code which is given to them by the vendor so they can get wholesale pricing and they can buy it wholesale. And it's solid for B2B and B2C, that is for consumers and for business. So it's entirely flexible and everything happens automatically. The timing, how long does it take to develop? We're planning to commission 3 sites every 4 weeks for the rest of the year. We'll be pushing it to commission more than that, but we can skin with the correct branding, set it up, do the training, get it operating at a rate of about 3 per month. We think demand will be pretty high in the early stages because of the virus and things like that. But yeah, we can do 3 a month relatively comfortably. The cost, we were selling these platforms for $40,000 each. We're currently selling them for 20 on the basis that we want to get them out there during the virus period. If a council finds 20,000 is a bit high, we can negotiate a bit on that. There's a setup cost which includes the training and all of those other things. Well, the training's free, but it includes the setup process itself. And there's an annual maintenance fee which has been brought down to about $3,000. There are no other costs to the local government. In fact, you can, as I say, by charging a margin, actually make money out of this. Certainly the site that we operate makes money for us. Credit card transactions, credit cards and transaction fees are charged directly by the financial intermediary. You have nothing to do with that, but for your knowledge, it's at about 2%, which includes the credit card charge, which retailers are already paying, and a small transaction fee for the financial institution. I've never found a retailer to have any objection with that. It works really well. What's next? Well, if you want any more information on this, you can email me, john@picassocapitalmanagement.com.au, or you can visit our site, which is www.picassocapitalmanagement.com. You might also like to look at Wise Epicure, which is an example of the platform, www.wiseepicure.com, or just call me, 0402 273 350. And I'm happy to provide any information, any supporting literature you might require. I noticed that a couple of people have joined a bit late in the session, so others would forgive me. I might just go back to the beginning and race through some of the key points in the presentation, which might be of interest to them and maybe reinforces a few points for those who have been in it. So we have 5 issues here. Why consider e-commerce? Why a marketplace? How does a marketplace work? What is the timing and how much does it cost? The reason we need to look at e-commerce is that 50% of retail will be online by 2025. So your retailers will be left behind. And more importantly for local businesses, 93% of people want to buy local, but they want to buy online first. So if they don't have an online option, they buy from elsewhere. And as I noted the first time through, about 49% of all online purchases in Australia are from an overseas site, largely because they can't get the product they want or do business with the retailer they want online in Western Australia. Online shopping is now growing at 10 times the rate of offline shopping, and 80% of Australians have shopped online. One of the impacts of this virus has been that there's been a huge boom in video conferencing, but an even bigger boom in e-commerce, and people who have not used e-commerce in the past are now using it for the first time, are finding it easy and won't go back. And there's a lot of research to support that. Small businesses desperately need e-commerce, but some can't afford it. And the platform that we're talking about gives them free or near to free, very low cost access with no upfront fees or anything like that. At the very most, or the local government can provide it free. At the very most, they would pay a small percentage of purchases. And it would provide immediate economic relief for businesses struggling and inevitably set them up for the long-term shift towards online shopping. The marketplace is an online shopping centre. Each vendor operates absolutely independently of the owner of the shopping centre, and in this case, each vendor would operate absolutely independently of the local government that owned the marketplace. There's been a 74% plus per annum growth in marketplaces over the last couple of years with very, very good reason. Marketplaces simply provide the infrastructure for vendors to do business independently. They run their own product, they run their own pricing, they run their own promotion, they run their own delivery. And the transactions are handled independently by PayPal and other independent services which are credentialed and fully secured. So the local government and the vendor have nothing to do with the transaction process. The shopping link platform that we're talking about allows for unlimited stores, unlimited stock, unlimited transaction, and unlimited reach. And what we find is we're selling product all over the world, from little shops in the southwest to Western Australia. It's quite amazing. And direct communication. So consumers can communicate directly with the vendors. They don't need to communicate at all with the local government. The site might look something like this, with a banner at the top with the product, and then on the homepage a list of specials. Each vendor decides their own specials, they mark them special, and automatically the system uploads them and rotates them through so people can see the specials. They can also search by store or click on a particular special and they go to a store, and this is an individual store run by a vendor who puts the content they want on the site, the products they want, the pricing they want, and the product descriptions they want, and they do business through this site, just like in a shopping centre. And at the moment in Western Australia, it's about 26% click and collect. That'll rise to British standards, which now sit at about 74% in the short while ahead. How does a marketplace work? Well, we come in and install the software. We skin the software or badge it with the branding of the local government or whatever branding you want. We then you invite vendors to join. We train the vendors in how to operate the software. They then set up their own stores and trade entirely independently. You won't know whether they're doing business or not, and they're probably doing business 24/7 without you having any knowledge of it. Payment function happens automatically through PayPal, PIN, and a subsidiary of Macquarie Bank. Vendors facilitate delivery, and the promotion can happen centrally, or vendors can do it themselves. That's what a product page. So when they click on a proposed purchase, they go to that page. They're given all the details and pricing. They click purchase, and it's delivered. Ultimate control for the whole system rests with the organisation who bought the software. You can shut a retailer out, you can decide which retailers operate, but you don't have to get involved if you don't want to. You can take products off if you don't want them sold in your area or whatever, but you don't have to get involved if you want to. Promotion is centralised, or it can be done by vendors. I see there's a question come through. I'll answer that in a moment. Local governments can charge a margin if they want to, 1 or 2%, which can be used for promotional purchases or simply as a revenue exercise, given that you've provided the infrastructure and service at no cost. Maintenance is minimal, and is managed by us. All customers interact with vendors. Delivery can be centralised or run by vendors. It can be goods and services, retail and wholesale, B2C or B2B. We're building commissioning 3 sites a month over the next while during the period, and we'd love to do some more local government sites in Western Australia. The software costs have come down in recognition of the virus and the effect it's having on small business from 45 grand to 20 grand, and we can discuss terms on that if necessary. Setup cost with the rebranding and the promotion of the site initially is 5,000, come down from 15. Training of vendors is free, and we set up a session for them, and we'll answer any queries they have on an ongoing basis. And there's an ongoing maintenance fee. The credit card and transaction fees, which retailers already pay, are handled directly through the system as well, are not a concern. And if you want more information on this, please come to either of these sites. Now, let's see if I can get to this question. For vendors with existing online platforms, does Shopping Link integrate to avoid having to update multiple platforms? The simple answer to that is yes. We can integrate, and we have done. There's a number of ways this operates. Many of the people who come into this don't have their own platform. They don't have their own e-commerce platform now. For them, we link their page in the system directly to their site so that it looks like it's an extension of their site. So for the first time, they have, at almost no cost, their own e-commerce system. For those who have their e-commerce system, yes, we can integrate it with their existing system. We can also integrate it with their point of sale system, so that if something comes out of stock because it was sold in the bricks and mortar environment, it also comes out of stock in the online environment. And that's about it for my presentation today. I hope you found something useful in that. I will send you a copy of this. Please use any of these contact details if you'd like to know more. I'm really happy to come out and brief you. I'm happy to talk to councils. I'm happy to talk to committees. And would really like to see more of these operating in Western Australia. Thanks very much for your time. I hope you found it useful. And I hope you join in another briefing at some time, or one of my webinars at some stage in the future. Thanks very much. Have a great day.